Hey there, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Guy Jabberone, and I wanted to continue our tech stack. Right now, we all know occupancies are going down, um, rents are going down, so that we either have to tighten our belts, learn new skills, or just get better at what we're currently doing. And one thing I want to do to help is just kind of show how I set up AdWords, the tech stack behind AdWords, the different ways we set it up on different sites with either ESS or SiteLink or StoreEdge or our own sites, however you want to do it. But it is something that you could do yourself, and you can make work yourself. In my opinion, the biggest part of AdWords is setting it up correctly. Right now, with recommendations from Google for storage, it is very viable for you to run a successful AdWords campaign for your storage facility, provided that you have an offer and your prices are competitive. Those are the big caveats. If you're running your ads and your prices aren't competitive, you're spending a lot of money and you're not going to get anything. But there's a specific way that I like to do it that takes advantage of a lot of the tools that Google and YouTube and AdWords itself, analytics, they all take into account some very I do it a very specific way so that I can get some very specific information for our customers to help them make some decisions. So the AdWords Tech Stack, you've got a few tools. You're going to use Google Tag Manager, you're going to use Google Analytics, and you're going to use Google AdWords and YouTube. So if you're not using YouTube for self-storage right now, you're missing out. It's a really good tool for remarketing. If you make one video, you can use it on YouTube, you can use it on Facebook, you can use it all over the place. So now we're going to pull in my handy dandy sket, and I'm going to do my best to visually describe what we're looking at, right? So you got your website here, and whether that's an ESS site, SiteLink, StoreEdge, your own site, I always advise your own site. The, if you're using somebody else to do your site and to provide you with reports, more than likely the tag manager or the analytics is not owned by you. So the first thing I will say is you want to set up your own tag manager, your assets. You want to set up your own tag manager, your own Google Analytics, your own AdWords, and your own YouTube, and you want to give whoever is handling your website, and whoever's handling your website and your analytics, you want to give them access to yours. Why? If you leave them, all that information goes with them. Most of the time, what I've seen agencies do is they're going to take their current Google Analytics account, their current tag manager account, AdWords, YouTube not so much, but they're going to add you to it. And within that ecosystem, it's not possible to transfer that data very efficiently. So it's better to just start out with your own tag manager, your own analytics, and no matter how many facilities you have, you can keep putting them in there, and you own the data. It's all about you owning the data as the storage owner, as the storage manager. So knowing that, first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up your tag manager, and this is what we'll probably jump into today. Within that tag manager, you're going to dump your Google Analytics code, you're going to dump your AdWords code, and then you're going to dump your YouTube and connect it with AdWords. And once you have your tag completely set up, you're going to download everything you've set up in between Google Analytics and Tag Manager. You're going to download into Google AdWords, so you have your conversions. Now, what is a conversion? So this is the new analytics is GA4, and it's all about events. And the way Google defines events is, pretty much anything that happens on your page, whether it's a button click, whether it's, if depending on your software, whether it's a rental, there is some disconnect between the softwares because the free web page that you get is not the same website that your rentals are done, so it's a little difficult to completely track rentals, but you can still track button clicks, you can still track scroll time, you can still track time on the site itself, which means people are actually thinking about what they're trying to do on your site. And the reason I set it up with Tag Manager, you can set up your Google Analytics directly on your site. However, it's a pain to manage. So Google Tag Manager is just like it says, it will manage all these tags in one area, and you don't have to keep going back and messing with your site. So the first thing we're going to look at is setting up Tag Manager, getting the code from Tag Manager and actually placing it on your sites. And this is just a rough review of the tech stack. Again, you want to have your Tag Manager, you want to have your Google Analytics, your Google AdWords, and we're going to go through this video series and just hook them all together. And the biggest thing is for self-storage. So next step, you're going to go to Google Tag Manager. Just go to google.com, Tag Manager. It's going to pull this site up. You're just going to sign into your manager. It's going to look something like this. Now this is just a test tag that I have, and you're going to go and you're going to create an account. So you're going to say, your self-storage, whatever your company name is. Then you're going to put your site. You're going to go your selfstorage.com. You're going to go web, create, all this stuff. The way Google works, if you don't say that you won't get to play. So pretty much what you're getting. So it's going to go through this. Now this is the most important part here. So the head is, for lack of a better, a deeper term, is the top of your website, and the body is somewhat the bottom of your website. This allows Google to track everything in between. And what you're going to do is you're going to copy these two, place it in a notepad, which I'll do right here. So you're going to copy it, place it in a notepad. And there you go. Now you've got your two tags. Now you're either going to send this to your developer, and that developer is either going to add these tags or they're going to add this code. Or if you're running your own site, you need to, if you have a WordPress, you're going to need a plugin. And you can use header, footer. Just go to WordPress in your optimization in the back end, put in header, footer. If you're using HTML, you're just going to have to add this entire script to the head and the footer portion. If you're using ESS, you can add the head portion in the analytics part. Let me see if I can pull up an example. Let's see. So you're going to go to this section. If you go to the website portion of your ESS code, you go to website, then settings, then you'll see this little thing right here. So it says analytics code, but it's better to have your tag manager in there. So you're going to put the head of your tag manager in there, and then what you can do is in the footer portion of that same ESS heading is one of the URL spots. Enter the footer code in one of the URLs, and that portion for ESS looks like this. So you're going to scroll past the social media links into the image text, and in the footer link for the image text, which most people don't use anyways, throw the footer. That'll allow that tag to fire. And in the next slide, we're going to go over testing it to make sure it's working. So this is your Talent Self Storage, my test account, and what you can do is once your tag is set up, you click here, and you can just type in storage.com, and you hit test, and you get the little green button that says that Google has found the tag and your tag is installed. If you want to further go to it, you can use this section here. Just go to the page, click on the tag. It's going to say tag is no longer supported, so you just hit the new tag assistant. Then you go add the domain, and connect. Then you're going to see something like this. So you're going to see that the tag came up, and if you look at this tag section here, it matches this here, so you know it's the right tag. You can see that some of the variables that we loaded, scrolls, container loaded, consent, all this stuff just says that your tag did fire, and it is on the page. This is the Google Analytics tag, and these are some of the variables that we hit there. And yeah, so you're looking at a pretty simple setup for setting up your Google Tag Manager and actually testing it out. You can use the debugger, or you can use just the tag tester down here. And in the next videos, I'll show you, kind of what we're tagging on our sites and why, as far as button click, scroll time, and what that data is going to give you. Because right now, as competition heats up, as people are a lot more conscious of storage and storage pricing, you really got to know your numbers, and those numbers include what is going on your site. As an owner myself, there were several years where we just looked at how many visits did we have to the page, did they click the rental button, did they move on. With the new Google Tag Manager, you can actually see how long they stayed on the page, if they click the button, how far did they scroll. You can see all that before, but it's a little clearer now, and it's more data to give you an idea of, did they visit, did they stay for a long time, what buttons did they click, did they actually rent, did they click the rental button, did they come through. You can use that information, and you can kind of formulate a scenario of what's going on at your storage site, and why things are happening, and what steps you should take. So hopefully this helps with the tech stack. And if you have any questions about implementation on your site or owning the data yourself, I highly suggest you own the data yourself, because if you do switch agencies, all the data that you've accumulated is going to end up in their AdWords account, tag account, analytics account. It's all theirs. So if you keep your self-storage facility and you move to another agency, or you start doing some of this yourself, if you get big enough, 4 or 5 facilities, you do have the money to put somebody on staff. And that's where I'm ultimately going with this. If you get to a point where you have 3, 4, 5 facilities, you can bring all this stuff in-house and hire techs yourself. And this series is about setting up your Google assets in a way that they're installed correctly, monitoring the specific KPIs in order to turn it over to somebody in-house, so that you can see whether they're doing a good job. And this is just from my experience, bringing it in-house for myself and helping other people bring it in-house as well. And hopefully this helps you. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Happy to dive into any other different softwares and see how we can implement this. I've done it with ESS, Stora, SiteLink, StoreEdge, all of them. A lot of them provide you a specific place to put Google Analytics, but you don't want just Google Analytics. You want your tag manager in there as well, and we'll go over why.